Oz, you're on mute.
Yeah, here, sorry.
Thank you. Jonathan Thomas?
Here.
Art Torres?
Here.
Christina Vori?
Here.
We have a quorum, Steve.
Wonderful. Thank you, Maria. So without further ado, I'm going to turn to Jennifer to take us through the budget presentation. I would say if we have any questions, let's just ask them along the way rather than waiting till the end. I think it'll move better that way. So without further ado, Jennifer, would you please proceed?
Sure, I'll get my slides up. Maria, did you want to introduce Maria Milan?
Hi, everybody. Jennifer Lewis has been kindly serving as our interim lead on the finance department, but we have a new member to the team. Proud to introduce Pune Simpson, who has just appeared on your screen. You'll be seeing more of her in this finance subcommittee and other places. Pune comes to us with a great amount of state experience, and I'll be introducing her a little bit more fully in June. We highlighted our new hires a couple of weeks ago, our communications team did, but I wanted to introduce Pune and also to thank Jennifer for handling both grants management and the finance team during the interim, and also Sheila Silva Martin, who has continued to be a retired annuitant, amazing support for our team. So the transition is going smoothly, but I did want you to meet Pune. Thank you so much, Jennifer. And now back to Jennifer.
Thanks, Maria. So let me show.
Sorry, go ahead, Jennifer.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Just to confirm, you guys can see the slides full screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So good morning, members of the board and the public. Today I'll be presenting to you the proposed administrative budget for the upcoming fiscal year of 2021-22. Before we begin, I'll just review our agenda. First, we will review the 2020-21 budget, the financial results and major drivers of that budget. And then we will dive into the proposed budget for the next fiscal year and the major drivers of that budget. And just for reference, also included in your materials is an appendix with the departmental level budget detail. So first, let's dive into the 2020-21 budget. And before I get into the financial results, I wanted to remind the board of the context in which this budget was created, as it was a unique year. First, as all of us know, the pandemic impacted our work activities, and for CIRM, we continued to have reviews and meetings via video, and travel did not occur. Secondly, from June through December of 2020, the organization was operating in a wind down mode with reduced staffing levels, redistributed workload to current staff, and award management of COVID-19 programs, sickle cell, and our core pillar programs with the remaining Prop 71 funds. And thus, contrastly from January through June, the budget reflects the wind up of agency activities with 40 positions, including 9 reestablished positions, and also an increase in activities in reviews for our pillar programs, as well as an increase in scientific advisory and strategic planning activities. So now let's look at that budget and our estimated financial results. So here are the estimated financial results of the 2020-21 budget. The first column shows the approved budget of $15.3 million. The agency is currently estimated to finish the year in June at just over $13.1 million, which is a savings of $2.2 million. As I noted previously, the agency was operating in a wind down environment for the first 6 months of the 2020-21 fiscal year. Thus, the savings that we see was due to the team's management of expenditures and keeping costs low. Additionally, the pandemic continued to provide savings in our remote meetings and reviews. And finally, costs were budgeted to wind up agency activities in the early 2021, which occurred but not at the rate anticipated. So there are savings in several budget categories that you'll notice, which I will describe in more detail on the next few slides. So the variance in the 2020-21 budget is in 3 key areas of employee expenses or personnel, external services, and reviews, meetings, and workshops. And I will share with you a little bit more the major drivers of these savings in these budget category areas. First, there were lower employee expenses. As you recall, in December, the board approved a revised 2020-21 budget, which included 9 reestablished positions for critical roles in the windup and growth of the organization. This was a very ambitious goal to accomplish in just 6 months, but with the efforts of HR and the whole organization, we were able to fill 7 of these positions to date and had savings due to start dates starting more at the end of this fiscal year period. 2 of these positions are still in the later stages of recruiting, but remain unfilled, resulting in additional savings. Also, there have been 3 vacancies that occurred during this fiscal year, with 1 vacancy filled during this period. Thus, we are estimated to finish the year under budget by 1.1 million, while still adding 8 new employees to the CERM team. We also saw savings in the external services budget category, which was due to the team maintaining expenses under budget as we were operating in a wind down mode. Additionally, contingency expenses in some areas were not required, such as outside corporate counsel for grants management activities. We are estimated to finish the year under budget in external services by about 554,000. And the last category I wanted to review with you is that there were savings in the reviews, meetings, and workshops area. As the agency was operating in those 6 months of wind down over the 2020-21 fiscal year, department heads across the organization kept expenses low, and we're cognizant of that. Additionally, due to the pandemic, meetings and workshops occurred remotely, resulting in additional savings in this area. Thus, the estimated financial impact is under budget by about 298,000. So now I'd like to transition to the 2020-21 budget to the 21-22 proposed budget. This budget continues the windup of agency activities based on the current and projected program offerings. However, I did want to note that in December of 2021, the CERM team will be bringing the strategic plan to the board for approval. And at that time, we will likely bring a revised administrative budget, which will have any new operational activities that would be required to support the execution of our strategic plan. So this slide shows our proposed 21-22 budget request. The first column displays the 2021 budget of the total of 15.3 million, alongside the proposed budget for 21-22 of 20.9 million, which is an increase of 5.6 million. Normally, we would present this budget as compared to the estimated financial results of 2021. However, given the unique year I described, the decision was made to show the comparison to the 2021 budget instead, as it gives a better picture of a comparison. I will describe further in the next few slides the drivers of this proposed budget as the agency continues the windup of operations and program activities over the next 12 months. So overall, the major drivers of the 21-22 budget fall in 3 categories of personnel, reviews, meetings, and workshops, and rent office expansion, which I'll go into more detail in the next few slides. The first key driver of this proposed budget is an increase in employee expenses. This proposed budget will increase personnel by 9 positions for a total of 49 positions. In addition, this budget estimates a 3% merit salary adjustment for eligible employees during the performance review period. In comparison to the 2021 budget, this is an increase of 3.6 million. The second major driver of the 21-22 budget is in reviews, meetings, and workshops. The CERM team has planned 22 reviews for the 21-22 fiscal year, with an estimated budget of 751,000. Last year, due to the pandemic, we had to conduct all reviews virtually, which did result in savings along with more productive and successful reviews. Given this, of the 22 reviews, we estimate that only 2 will be in person, while the rest will be done virtually in the next fiscal year. In the next slide, I will go into this budget of the review meetings in a little more detail so we can discuss it further. In addition to the review meetings, we also anticipate increases in our scientific workshops and advisory panels to inform our strategic direction. And also in that, we will be growing over the next fiscal year in our portfolio. And thus there will be an increase in our clinical and translational advisory panels by our scientific teams by an estimate of 57%, or 67 new advisory panels planned. Lastly, we anticipate that the activities of the board and the subcommittees will increase. And although most of these meetings will occur virtually, we have budgeted for 4 ICOC meetings, of which 2 would be in person. In comparison to this fiscal year budget, this is an increase of 746,000. And as mentioned, a significant portion of this is due to reviews, meetings, and workshops, which are to the review meetings, which is 500,000. And we'll look at that a little bit further in the next slide. So this slide displays the budget for reviews, meeting activities since 2016. Historically, the primary drivers of the review budget have been costs of hosting the meeting in person, the number of reviews, and the honoraria, which varies based on the program being reviewed. So as you will see in 2016-17 fiscal year, the agency budgeted for 17 reviews at about $1 million. At this time, the organization was offering a variety of programs and hosting a majority of its reviews in person, which included costs associated with off-site meeting rooms, travel, and hotels, along with reviewer honoraria. If you look at, by the time we get to 18-19, the organization began to reduce its administrative activities and conducted in-person review meetings at our agency offices. Thus, you will see a decrease in the budget for 15 reviews at $659,000. And in 2020-21, the agency was operating in wind down mode, and thus there were less reviews. All meetings were done virtually, and there were limited program offerings focusing only on our clinical and COVID rounds. Thus, the only costs that were incurred were for honoraria. The 21-22 proposed budget estimates 22 reviews at $751,000. So looking at the proposed 21-22 budget compared to 2021, the agency is doubling the number of reviews, while the budget for 21-22 is increasing by 66%. So what is driving this increase? The primary drivers are honoraria, which is based on the number of reviews, but also the type of review. As mentioned in 2021, reviews were limited due to the research budget limitations, and only COVID and CLIN reviews were offered, which involved fewer applications for review and shorter durations of the meetings. The 21-22 review meeting schedule will include the monthly clinical reviews, but in addition, there will be reviews in our discovery and translation and education programs, which have higher application volumes, resulting in longer review meetings and require more reviewers with a wider range of expertise, similar to the 16-17 time period. Thus, the driver of the 21-22 review budget is the cost associated with the reviewer honoraria due to the variety of program offerings and number of applications, with savings budgeted due to more virtual and remote meetings. The third driver of the 21-22 budget is in facilities. So in 2019, the agency negotiated a lease extension through March of 2022, as the agency was operating with an unknown on whether Proposition 14 would pass in 2020. But we wanted to have offices to support either scenario of a wind down or a wind up of agency activities. This increase began in early 2021, which impacts the next fiscal year's budget of 21-22. In addition, as the organization's lease will be expiring in 2022, the team is looking for the best option that will accommodate our growing team and allow us to best achieve the mission of the organization. As we finalize that decision over the coming months, the 21-22 budget has included contingency funding to support 2 options, either an office expansion at our current location and return to work, or an office move, including leasing services, project management, and movers, with a financial impact compared to 2021 of about $843,000. So as I close my presentation of the proposed budget, I would like to acknowledge that while we will be actively managing costs and maintaining expenses, there are external factors that could affect our projected budget plan, which include the current lease renewal or office move, as I described, recruitment and personnel growth, and any unknown effects of COVID-19 on business activities and meetings and travel and other work activities. So at this time, I will stop here to take any questions, but we are asking today for the Finance Subcommittee to review and approve the 21-22 budget to be brought to the ICOC later this month. Steve?
Thank you, Jennifer. Can you go to a slide that shows the budget breakdown, please?
Sure. Go.
There we go. Perfect. All right. So I just want to start with this. Are there any questions about any of these particular categories in terms of what is being requested? Or if not, questions, comments?
I had a quick question regarding the payments for the reviewers. Could you describe how that works? Is there a flat rate per hour or day? Do you feel it's competitive? Do you get the reviewers that you want? Just thoughts about that whole process.
Sure.
Maybe Jennifer or Maria.
Yeah, I can answer just how we come to that rate, and Maria, if you want to add anything. So we've been using a model that is a flat rate, but then also incorporates how many applications that they are reviewing and the duration of the meeting as well. So it's a little bit of a model that incorporates both of those methods, and again does vary depending on program. Mostly, the biggest comparison you could say is clinical, which is typically a smaller number, shorter reviews. The longest review is usually 4 hours, while discovery and translation can be full day meetings, sometimes 2 days. And so that compensation is there as well for attendance in those meetings. Maria, did you want to add anything about the expertise and the quality?
So I think Gil Sombrano, who's the head of review, would be the best person to kind of go in detail. But just in the big picture, we are able to be competitive and are able to bring in reviewers. If there are any restraints, it's really time constraints. The virtual meetings have allowed some flexibility in that case, but also, on the other hand, some of the reviewers really did look forward to the in-person, so I think that, having some of that built in to build kind of that connection with other reviewers through the process. So I don't know if Gil's on the line, but it hasn't been a rate limiting step in us being able to run the reviews and have high quality reviewers. We are in the midst of expansion of our GWG, and I sent out a note recently about some of our partner organizations who are helping us with that. And
Great.
Christine, we're happy to also get you more information if you want on that topic.
Oh, no worries. Thank you. Sounds great. Thanks.
Thank you, Christina. Other questions or comments on the proposed budget?
Oz has his hand raised.
Yes, Oz.
Yeah, just really quickly, as somebody who does review for other organizations, including NIH, I would say that the compensation for reviewers by CERM is good. It's adequate. NIH is paltry and miserable, but I think that in general, the reviewers don't feel that they are being overcompensated given the amount of work that's put in. And, I think that this proposal is both a good combination of recognition that the work that they do put in, but also recognition of our role as responsible stewards of the state budget, so to speak. So I think it's good. That's the bottom line of my comment. Thank you.
Oh, great. Thanks, Oz. Good to hear. Other comments or questions from the members of the committee? Are there, before we get to the motion, are there any, well, is there a motion that we approve this budget?
This is Al Roulette. I so move.
Thank you, Al. Is there a second?
Second, this is Judy.
All right. So any more comments or questions from the committee or subcommittee? If not, are there any comments or questions from the public?
Steve, I have two that came in. The first one is, they're both from David Jensen. The first one is, what is the estimated spending total for 2021?
So the estimated results, the financial results is, and I can go back to that slide if it's helpful, is 13, just over 13 million. So we have a $2.2 million savings.
Thank you. And there's one more. One of the features of Prop 14 enabled CERM to shift some previously operational expenses into research award categories. This has the effect of making more money available for such things as salaries or what have you. Does the proposed budget to be considered tomorrow incorporate any of those shifts?
So this budget, it does consider the guidance of Prop 14 and the allocations that are guided in there, as well as the shifts. You know, one of them being review expenses shifting to the research budget allocation. So that is considered in there. I will say that, you know, as we embark on Proposition 14, we will be coming back to this subcommittee and to the board with forecasts of what that looks like over time, and how that's projected in the various categories, including, you know, as we can increase staffing or increase other activities. So we will be presenting that along with the research budget to show what that looks in our plan for over the next several years.
Jennifer, just a question in that regard. Is that going to be part of the strategic plan presentation? Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, in December, we'd like to bring to you along with that, you know, side by side with the administrative budget, research budget, forecasting out what those projections look like. So you can see that all together.
Great. Yeah, I think that would be helpful to have them all in one large package.
Mhm.
Are there any other comments or questions from the public?
There are none.
If not, then Maria, would you call the roll?
Sure. Steve Julesgaard,
Yes.
Judy Gasson,
Yes,
Al Roulette,
Yes.
Oz Stewart. Oz, you're on mute. I'll come back to Oz. Jonathan Thomas,
Yes.
Art Torres,
Aye.
Christina Bori.
Yes.
I'm a yes,
Oz.
Maria. This is Oz.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
The
Oz.
motion carries.
Great. Right. Well, thank you then. So we have the subcommittee's approval of this budget. It'll be presented to the board. JT, remind me when the ICOC meeting is this month?
The 18th.
18th. Okay, great.
It's the 18th, June 18th.
We'll see it again then. Are there any other issues to come before the subcommittee? Seeing none, hearing none, then do we normally have a motion for adjournment, or do we just adjourn?
Oh, you
We
can
could just
just go
adjourn.
ahead and just adjourn, Steve.
Okay.
Or just a thank you to Steve.
You're so welcome, Art. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.